remember at the beginning of this pandemic, y'all remember at the beginning of this when I said that they are never going to take any sort of responsibility to the economic and mental destruction that their policies end up leading to. They expect everybody that went out. I mean, it used to be just anybody that didn't. Well, it used to be anybody that left their fucking house. Now it's just anybody that's unvaccinated. But back OG times, it was basically anybody that goes about their business. It doesn't, I don't know, stay in the house in a bubble. They said that you were to be credited for every single death that has ever happened regarding COVID. And I would respond, again, I said, made many videos talking about this, like they expect you to take responsibility for that. So if we have any deaths of despair, so suicide, other mental health issues that are associated with it, be it with isolation or other things regarding this pandemic and people's lives being flipped on their heads, they'll never take responsibility for, though not often those in, I don't want to say not often, they do sometimes, but you know, it's not always just straight death, but you got people's lives ruined, both economically, mentally, physically, and they will never take responsibility for any of this. The American Academy of Pediatrics, which is a fucking very corrupt institution, by the way, this is what they said. As health professionals, we witness soaring rates of mental health challenges among children, adolescents, and their families over the course of this COVID-19 pandemic. Like, I'm not clairvoyant, guys. I'm not. Like, it wasn't like I was saying anything that required anybody to be a fucking health professional. Because I said exactly this was going to happen. And many others did. We said this was going to happen. And that was that this like, whether it be with lockdowns and all these sorts of restrictions, are going to make a lot of people mentally fucked. And it's your fucking fault, because it could have been avoided by you just, I don't know, not doing that shit. But you forced people into their houses, and a lot of it was done with health professionals backing it. And because it was about saving lives, right? Damn be if you go drive yourself insane, it's all good. Or we drive you insane, rather. And by we, I mean them. They echo again. Children and families across our country have experienced enormous adversity and disruption, and the inequalities that result from structural racism have contributed to. Like, this is how you know this is a crooked institution, because despite acknowledging that, they cling to this racism issue so often that they can't let go of it. So they went there with the disparity and all of this shit, despite knowing this fucks up many of people, regardless of color. Oh, shit. I'm gonna fuck some shit up, my bad, y'all. Hold up. I'm gonna fix it here in a little bit, my bad. But yeah, matter of fact, let me go to myself real quick. Long story short, these people are acting as if what they're doing or what they did was warranted, is more so the term that I would use. It was warranted, right? And it never was. I, of course, disagreed with it. I mean, in its entirety back in March, going into April, and whatnot. Yet they still did it. Of course, they're not listening to me, but even the experts that lived among them. Here we go. It says, this is why the AAP, the AACAP, the Hospitals for Kids, are declaring a national state emergency in children's mental health. The challenges facing children and adolescents are so widespread that we call on policymakers at all levels of government and advocates to join us in this declaration. See, this is my problem with these health officials, because none of them were, even the American Academy of Pediatrics, would like semi-acknowledge that, okay, maybe changing people's, definitely these children, in terms of their day-to-day life at such a young age. They weren't nearly as aggressive as in being opposition. They felt that it was like basically a necessary evil for them to do that. So they get to rid themselves of any blood that is on their hands, and now they get to come by and try to play savior. These are very bad people, man. They're evil people, very evil, because this, again, could have all been avoided. This turmoil that you put these children through specifically could have all been avoided. You were the one that was trying to put doing this whole virtual learning shit, even for private schools. You were the ones that were advocating for that because you wanted to save my teachers, right? You were the one advocating that when they did go somewhere in a school, they had to be in basically the equivalent of a fucking bubble where there's tape like they're in fucking jails and shit, in prison, which is all public school is as far as I'm concerned. But this didn't just apply to public schools where they have markings on the floor in terms of where these kids must stand and separate. They can't even fucking play with each other because, God forbid, the demographic that has they're almost completely unimpacted, almost, nearly. In terms of statistics, it's almost statistically insignificant when you're looking at people in that age demographic actually being hospitalized and or dying from COVID. They ignored that. Instead, they continue to push for these dangerous and disastrous policies. And now they are going to try to come back and say, wait a minute, this is a national state of emergency. We've seen all this grow, and we're going to try to come save the day, even though it was them. It was these health fucking professionals that were backing these statist institutions that were implementing these mandates and laws that made your children fucking miserable. It was them that did it. Imagine that. Creating a problem, or rather not avoiding it, and then trying to come through and play the savior. These are fucking evil sons of bitches. And like I said, they'll never take responsibility for it. In this in itself, they are completely ridding themselves of any sort of responsibility. Health professionals in any sort of responsibility of the dumb shit that they did over the past year and a half. Amazing. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.